Flames covered the ground and smoke could be seen for miles around on Sunday, February the 27th, 2011. Fires broke out in several Texas Panhandle locations, including Willow Creek and Lake Tanglewood. With the land drying up, the season was set to be disastrous. Instead of dangerous thunderstorms and tornadoes, folks around here had to be alert for the threat of wildfires. The lack of rain was the biggest threat from the sky. Getting back to the events of last year, we will take a look at the setup to the February 27th outbreak. 3 weeks prior, we were exposed to some extreme winter weather. Arctic air masses slammed the Texas Panhandle and brought the coldest weather we had seen in a while. For one thing, the Texas Panhandle got down to and stayed below freezing for almost 5 days straight, from January 31st to February the 4th. On February the 3rd, the low in Dalhart was a -13. Then a few days later, Amarillo set a new record low of -6. It was windy too. Winds between 40 and 50 miles per hour pushed wind chills as low as -29 here in town and -36 in Boise City, Oklahoma. That was one of the coldest wind chills ever recorded in Oklahoma. After this much cold weather, no one was prepared for the wildfire threat brought on by wind and increasing warmth that came next. Meteorologist Chris Martin has more on those wildfires.
The wildfire season of 2011 didn't begin on February 27th, but it certainly became more widespread on that date. The few fires of the previous 6 weeks were just the beginning.
Cars and people lined the streets, people waiting to hear the latest on their homes or the homes of loved ones as they watched the flames and smoke take over.
On the morning of that Sunday, a dry line formed and then moved east across the area, driving what little moisture we had at the surface out to western and central Oklahoma. The strength of the following cold front was increased by intense upper-level winds. The airflow back on the ground soon kicked loose soil and dust into the air. The dusty sky became a precursor to dangerous wildfires for the rest of the season. Dry fuels were easily lit and several fires started throughout the day. Wildfires kicked off that afternoon in northeast Amarillo, burning up Willow Creek Kennel, 30 homes and 36 outbuildings. Though the fire department was able to rescue about 50 dogs, 18 that were on site at the time were killed in the fire. This was one of the largest fires, consuming over 24,000 acres. South of town, 3 separate wildfires tore through the Palisades, Timber Creek, and Lake Tanglewood. Around 26 homes were destroyed. Evacuations were needed in these cases throughout the day as multiple fires popped up around the area. A fire started between Fritch and Borger that injured 2 firefighters and burned 2,500 acres. There were 5 injuries in that blaze. Elsewhere in the Panhandle, Moore, Lipscomb, and Wheeler counties had fires to deal with. Also, evacuations were called for the entire town of Matador due to a wildfire. In New Mexico, more than 3,000 acres burned in Roosevelt County, 18 miles south of Elida. Back in Texas, and one of the only quick wins of the day, a fire started outside of Childress, but was put out within minutes. A few of these fires continued into the night, keeping many people out of their homes until the next day. Over 30,000 acres were burned in this part of the world. Many people lost power because of the strong winds or fires damaging power poles. A few roads had to close down because of fires crossing the street, including the Fritch Highway near Loop 335. Highway 207, Highway 152, and Highway 294 all had to be closed down in places thanks to threatening fires. Down on the South Plains, Highway 62 and Highway 70 were shut down west of Matador. Several motorists got stuck for hours trying to get away from the danger. Fire departments all across the Panhandle were stretched to the limit, some traveling 50 miles or more to reach wildfires. In both Potter and Randall counties, more than 60 homes were destroyed, and damages came up to over $7 million. When you factor in agricultural losses, that number comes to around $3 billion for the Texas Panhandle alone.
Memorial Day weekend of 2011 also had high wildfire dangers that turned into quite a mess for folks in town. The dry conditions and strong winds that accompanied many weekends last year helped to start and spread wildfires in parts of Amarillo. Evacuations were ordered in the northwest part of the city, down in Randall County, and near Stinnett. More than a dozen homes burned down in those fires, and several folks had to seek shelter. The winds did allow for firefighting aircraft to drop fire retardant on the flames. KAMR NBC4's Jordan Lucero was on the scene to talk to survivors the next day.
We only had maybe a half hour warning, but we were able to pack up
The Morris family saw the smoke building and knew they were facing something big. But when the evacuations were lifted, the family returned to a relatively untouched home.
3 houses down, a house burned to the ground. House on either side are saved. Thank heavens.
Like others around them, they were only left cleaning up the red fire retardant dropped on their block and counting their blessings.
Thank heavens for the firefighters. They got in and were able to take care of business pretty well.
It was a sentiment echoed across both counties today.
We've been encouraging viewers to sign up for a new emergency alert system, and to tell you more about it, here's meteorologist Nick Lilia.
In an effort to get severe weather and wildfire information to you more quickly, KAMR NBC4 has teamed up with the Panhandle Regional Planning Commission for the Resolve to Be Ready campaign. Go to r2beready.com or call the PRPC to sign up for alert calls, emails, and texts whenever your particular area is near a blazing grass fire or increasingly severe storms. Then you'll be notified. It's a handy way to stay up to date with weather threats while you're away from your TV.
When we come back, we will investigate one of the biggest causes of last year's wildfire season and also check out the drought in Texas. Plus, the severe weather we didn't get last year ended up in another part of the country with some destructive results. Stay with us.